Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spooky Fun with Mufti, the podcast that brings you spooky stories and mysteries that give you chills. I'm Mufti, and I'll be sharing spooky stories with you and introducing our special guest today. Our guest today is Iga, a researcher and a fan of horror stories. Hi, Iga.
Hi, Mufti. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome, Iga. I'm so glad you could come and share spooky stories with us. Tonight, we'll talk about one of the most famous ghosts in Indonesia, the Pocong.
Wow, Pocong. That's definitely one of the scariest ghosts. There are many scary stories about Pocong.
Absolutely, Iga. Can you explain what a Pocong is and where it comes from?
Sure, Mufti. A Pocong is a ghost that comes from a person who has died and whose burial shroud ties haven't been properly untied. In Islamic tradition, when someone dies, their body is wrapped in a shroud and tied with ropes in several places. If these ropes are not untied during the burial, it is believed that the spirit will wander as a Pocong.
Wow, that's really scary. So, are there any famous scary stories about Pocong?
Yes. One famous story is about a Pocong that often appears in a small village in central Java. Villagers often see a Pocong jumping around the village cemetery every Friday night. According to the story, this Pocong is the spirit of a villager who died tragically, and the shroud ties weren't untied properly during the burial.
Eek, that's really creepy. Are there any other stories about Pocong from other places?
Yes, Mufti. In West Java, there's a story about a cemetery guard who is often disturbed by a Pocong. This Pocong appears at night and makes strange noises. According to the story, the guard eventually performed a special ritual to untie the shroud ties so the spirit could rest in peace.
Hi-hee, that's so scary. Have you ever had any strange experiences related to Pocong, Haga?
Yes, I have, Mufti. Once, my friends and I went camping in a forest near a spooky village. That night, we heard strange noises and saw a white figure jumping in the distance. At first, we thought it was just our imagination, but as the night went on, the noises got louder and the figure came closer.
Wow, what did you do then?
We quickly went into our tent and prayed, hoping the Pocong wouldn't come closer. Luckily, after a while, the noises and the figure disappeared. The next morning we packed up and left right away. That experience really gave us chills and made us never want to camp in a spooky place again.
Wow, that's a very scary experience, Ega. Thank you for sharing it. To our listeners, I hope this story reminds you to always be careful and respect our traditions and culture.
That's right, Mufti. These scary stories are not just for fun, but also remind us to be careful and respect things we can't see.
All right, thank you so much, Ega, for sharing your spooky Pocong story tonight. I hope we can meet again in future episodes. Pocong story tonight. I hope we can meet again in future episodes.
Thank you, Mufti. I'm happy to share stories with the listeners.
Okay, friends, that's all for this episode of Spooky Fun with Mufti. Don't forget to follow our podcast and look forward to more scary stories. Good night, and I hope you can sleep well.